Yo, nice shirt.
Yeah, graphic. Ooh.
Graphic. Is that Brax?
Yes, that's you
Okay.
have to have somebody buy the real expensive amplifier, and then it comes in the box.
Yeah, they don't even have the Brax name. It just I noticed the font or the whatever.
It says Brax right there.
Oh, okay. See, I couldn't see
Yeah.
that, but I could tell it was Brax. Yeah.
So there's 3 shirts that we got, and so the owner Fernando and I all got a shirt. So,
Nice.
and he was like, everyone gets it was funny because he was excited about it. He's like, oh, everyone gets a shirt. And I'm like, I mean, or you take them all. He goes, no, I want everyone to have a shirt. And I go, okay. So
Yeah,
good time. Hey, let's open the show.
Free shirts, man. Hell yeah.
We didn't even get the yo.
No, I started in.
Yeah, you just came in hot.
Cold open, man.
Yeah, just full tilt boogie.
Right.
Yeah, so it's the show. It's 2 weeks in a row.
Woo!
Yeah, no doubt.
Feeling it.
And we have a guest.
We have a guest. He has something in common with us. 2 things. He loves bass and he's a dad.
What's up, guys? Back again.
Good day. So
this time I'm a full-fledged person. Like I'm not just calling in.
Well, so last night I was doing some work, as it were, like I do, and inevitably I always end up pausing and just scrolling through stuff, and I caught the interview that you and Derek did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when it happened. I just was like, oh, okay, Bass Dad. Let's see what he's all about. And so I caught the interview and I enjoyed it, which is not gonna lie. that's a high mark.
I appreciate that. It is a high mark. I don't hear
most
you
of the
say
time
that much.
I'm like, oh, for the love of God. So, and then as soon as I got done with it, I reached out to Rob and I said, hey, let's get Bass Dad on the show. And he goes, I'll text him in the morning.
I'll text him in the morning. It's funny because I've been trying to get Rob to do something with me. So
yeah,
we've just been trying to figure out what it is, what we're gonna do. So
well, bonus,
that's
awesome.
awesome.
You guys can figure it out now. But I really wanted to have you on the show because
thank you.
I get it. It's a new channel. It's Bass Dad. I have another channel that's called The Boring Life of Dean and Haley, which is a channel that my daughter and I do.
If you didn't tell me that, I would have never known that. I'm glad. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, there's only one car audio video, and that's like I had her put her stereo in her car. And
how old is she?
She's 24.
Okay, I have a 24-year-old. That's amazing.
Yeah, and she still wants to hang out with us, which is
yeah.
I
don't know how you pulled that off.
I don't either, but I don't think she's ever going to leave at this point. So I don't think it matters. I mean, let's be honest. She's 24. She lives at home. She's going to college still. She's bowling tonight with my wife. We pay for her food. We pay for the roof over her head. We take her on our vacations.
Why would she ever leave?
Why would you leave?
I know. I'm like, will you adopt me?
Yeah,
no kidding.
Wait, was the quad box video on The Boring Life?
What's that?
Was the quad box video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Quad box video.
Well, shout out to Derek who's here. That was the greatest moment in 12V Talk history.
That was the best.
That might be the funniest. Like the pure surprise on Derek's face.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, you can see the video.
So, if you don't know what we're talking about,
no.
Okay, so Kicker came out with a quad box. We all know what the quad box is. And so what was going on in the backside, because I have different relationships with these manufacturers than, let's say, Derek or Rob or any, because we're a retailer too.
Because you're actually installing.
Yeah.
Right.
And so one of the, so people at Kicker were kind of getting like, dude, are we going to do something with this? And they're like, yeah, we got something going on. And they're like, oh, Jesus. So I get a phone call and it's nothing to do with marketing. And they're like, hey man, listen, we have the CES quad box or the SEMA quad box sitting here. I'm going to send you the quad box and a 2400.1. For the love of God, do something with it. And I go, yeah, sure. Bring it on. And So the day it shows up on a pallet, Fernando and I go live because we had it planned. We have rules. We have like when we go live and it's something for a manufacturer, that's the only thing we'll talk about. So like we go live and we unbox the quad box there on the floor. We take the whole thing apart. Like we pull the woofers out, we stick the phone inside of it. We do everything because it's the first look at the quad box. Well, it just so happens that that's the night they're doing, their little, what was the show called? Or that you guys never do anymore?
12V Talk.
Yeah, 12V Talk. Sorry, that was a rib. So they're doing 12V Talk that night, and they're talking about. And I was like, "Hey, man, did you see the quad box?" And dude, Rob is just handling it like Rob would. He's just inside. I know he's exploding, but he's like, "Yeah, looks like Dean. Yeah, it's right here." Derek's just like, "What? What? I'm supposed to get."
The pure shock was one of the funniest moments on. There was one secondary funny moment of 12V Talk history. So Derek, probably the most humble dude I actually ever known. So they didn't believe that he could ride a Willie. This is the birth of Willie Williston.
I don't believe it,
dude. There's a video. Do Willie Williston?
Wow.
It's on his channel. He rides the Willie, and I think 4 or 5 people bet him $100 that he could do it. So as the Willie lands, he drops the PayPal.me at Big D Wiz or at Wilson Audio. I can't remember actually which one it was, and he dropped it, and it was like, it was rare for him. It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
Yeah, there's Kip. True story.
Funny.
Yeah, and I will say that to Kicker wasn't exactly happy with what happened. Because they were like, we had plans and you screwed them up. I was like, wasn't my fault.
Yeah,
wasn't my fault.
This was the plans.
yeah, that was the plans.
That's funny.
So what we did with the box is we put it in my daughter's car, and one Sunday we just went into a parking lot and went on Instagram, and we were like, just tell us songs and we'll play them. So for like an hour we just sat there, because at the time Instagram didn't have DRM. So literally people were just chiming in, and we were like just playing songs. Playing songs. Just I'm walking around the car as the car's shaking to pieces, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like I had a good time.
Yeah.
So we did that twice. We went I found some neighborhood kids, and I took them all up the street to the supermarket. I was like, just act, just tell me what you think. Act cool. And they were like, they didn't have to act, because as soon as I turned that thing on, they had never heard anything like this before in their lives. It's like 150 dB just smacking them in the face, and they're like,
I've never heard that thing in person, man. Is it that incredible?
So I describe that as the guy that shows up at 5 o'clock and says, I want 150 dB in my car, 150 dB in my car. What do I need? And it's like, you need a quad box, you need this, 3,000 watt amp, and we need your car for a little bit, and yeah, here you go.
It's just a quick 150 dB
in a box.
The quickest 150 dB you will ever see.
That's amazing.
Yeah. The funny part in all of this is that box number 1, some kid ended up with it. Doesn't know what he has, doesn't know what it is, doesn't just.
That's absurd.
It just got sold.
Really?
It was like kind of sad.
Well, you know what else is funny? I've been to Kicker how many times, been on the show. I've still never heard a quad box in person.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard the Solo X way before it came out and all that, but I had not heard a quad box. So
I just saw a Solo X like for the first time like a week ago. Like, I mean, I love Kicker, man. I'm like an old school Kicker fan, but I'm just more into their old stuff. And I wanted to see one, but they're more expensive than I'm. The Kicker doesn't mess with me like that. They're not going to send me one. So,
would you like to see something else that they have? Oh, hold on. I can't show you that picture. Maybe when we're off the air, no, I won't show you that picture either. Damn it.
They're going to send me one. So I was down at
Copyright Ninja will come and kill me.
Yeah.
Copyright Ninja. I was down at like this stereo shop that's around the corner, like one of these Memphis, like side stereo shops. Like, I don't know where some of their stuff came from. Kind of stereo shop.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
They have used.
Well, I just don't know if it came from legit, places.
Channels.
Yeah.
Gray market. You're looking at gray market Solo X's. You are in
Yeah,
Memphis area, right? So
exactly. So, but sure enough, there's a Solo X sitting there, and I'm like, man, that thing is sweet. It really was. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's I mean, I wouldn't say that if it wasn't, and it was sweet. It looks great.
Well, Rob got a whole one. I only got a half one, so
I only got a half of one. Like what?
mine's cut in half.
Oh,
got
so
the
inside
water jet or laser cut one, whatever it was.
Yeah. I wasn't good enough for a whole half one.
So what's that one do? Like 500 watts or something?
Yeah. Really, it doesn't do much.
It doesn't do much.
It still weighs 30 pounds, 30
Yeah,
something.
it's half the woofer if everyone else is.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Kind of half exciting. We wanted to do a spoof video where we reconed it. Like we bought a reconing kit.
That would be funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was like, no.
Let's see. We should have Derek send one of the mini recones that he's blown through at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's gone through a few by now.
Yeah. He got a little collection.
I seen him catch one on fire the other day or something.
Wow. Okay.
They're like, yeah, send it to Derek. He'll blow up anything.
You got something you want blown up.
Yeah. He's got 27,000 watts laying around just on tap. Like, yeah, let's go.
Wow.
You know what?
Oh, go ahead.
I had a topic for today's show.
Oh, what is it?
Why does everyone love cheap equipment?
Wow.
We've been talking about nothing but a quad box and a Solo X, like all the super expensive stuff.
So, all right. So I'll tell you a story. I've been doing this for 34 years. 34? Yeah, 34 years. So and in this career, I and that's professionally for a retailer. And I learned something a long time ago in that, and because I used to work for a car concierge. A car concierge is the guy, if you're rich or a professional athlete or something that just way more money than brains, you hire this guy to get you the vehicle you want. Okay. So you call him up and you're like, I want this car. I want it this color. I want these wheels. I want 28s or 24s or 30s or where the hell it is. I want it baby blue. They don't make it in baby blue. It doesn't matter. So that was his. So what we would do is we do the stereo side of it. So we get these cars and there was a baseball player named Gary Sheffield. I don't know if you follow baseball. I don't.
I know he is.
Okay. I didn't know who he was. He was nobody in my world. I met him one time and he was a dick, but that's besides.
I don't know him like that, but I know who he is.
So Gary Sheffield lived here in Florida and he had more money than sense, I guess. So one day he's driving up the road here and he goes past the Mini Cooper dealership and he sees these two Mini Coopers sitting out front. They're identical Mini Coopers. Him and his wife fall absolutely in love with these Mini Coopers. They pull in and they buy both of those two Mini Coopers. Okay. And so my guy comes by and I'm like, why do you have two Mini Coopers? He goes, dude, they just drove past the Mini place and they bought these Mini Coopers. He goes, so I got to take them back. We built him a Cadillac. Escalade that was insane. It was one of the biggest builds we ever did. Put a 10-inch screen in the dash before that was a thing. CD player and cassette player because he plays live gospel cassettes. So he wanted a cassette player. So this was right at the end of cassette players. So we had to find him an Alpine cassette player. It had a PlayStation and a what's the other one? I don't know.
Dreamcast at the time, maybe.
Xbox.
No, it was both the big ones. So
Xbox.
So yeah, both of those 8-inch TVs and all the headrests. It was insane. When we got done with it, he had it for a little while, and then he took it to New York, where the Castro, the guy that used to have the TV show, he took it. He painted. Yeah, the other Pimp My Ride guy, but not Pimp My Ride's the other one. They painted it baby blue and tried to claim it as their own. Truck finally comes back to us in the end, and what had happened to this truck is it never actually got driven. It became his kid's playground because it had the Xbox and the PlayStation and all the TVs in it. And what he was using it for, because it was an EXT, is he was putting all his merch in the back. Okay, so never got used. But the moral to the story is, what I learned from that is that price and money and what's expensive and not expensive, it's not relative to us as a, if you see something, you go, wow, $1,000, man, somebody's gonna see, wow, $1,000 and go, that's it? You got anything better? So
well, I mean,
I don't,
perspective and it's
so
all subjective.
That's one of the reasons why on like our show we never talk about price, because why? It's irrelevant. One guy's gonna say, God damn, and the other guy's gonna be like, oh, that's cheap crap. So that was another funny story is we did this Escalade for this Buccaneer. I don't know what position he played, but we had to clean out his car, and we had this bag of change. Okay, just a bag of change, just like a plastic bag, like a subwoofer bag that we just put all the change in. So the guy comes to pick up his car, and we were finishing it up. Normally we don't meet the people. This was just an odd chance where we met the person, and so he walks over and he sees this bag of change on the workbench. He goes, "Hey man, is that my change?" I go, yeah, go ahead, it's yours. For the next 2 hours, he walked around with that bag of change in his hand like that was all the money he had in the world.
That's funny.
Now, he just paid us a shit ton of money to work on his car, but that might be why. But he's holding that bag of change like, this is mine, bitch.
That's funny.
My installer at the time was going, man, I was kind of hoping I was going to get to keep that. And I'm like, a bag of change?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you people?
So funny.
So, all right. So knowing all that, let's talk about equipment. Let's start with you, Jeff. I want to know, what was your first cool piece of equipment that you got and you were like, that was the hook? It just, car audio just reeled your ass in.
So you mean like way back when?
Whatever. I mean, you say way back when. Hell, it could have been a month ago.
Well, I don't know. I mean, as a kid, what I could get was what I could get. It was like what somebody else had or what I could get from a pawn shop or something like that. Because, like you said, I mean, for me, I was on the bottom end of that. Like, I'm the guy who I'm looking for deals, because I'm 16 years old looking to hook my ride up. And
all right, I'll make you feel better. My first amp was a Sherwood 280.
Yeah, I had a bunch of Sherwoods, man. Those are decent amps too. I think I like them. Yeah, man, I'm super nostalgic for them. I'd really forgotten about them until somebody had brought it up the other day. I was like, Sherwood. Oh wow. Man, I've had more cool stuff now, obviously, since I've been grown. But back then, man, I think I'd gotten a PPI amp, and that was kind of my go-to brand. I couldn't afford US amps. I'm a huge fan of US amps. I would have loved to have anything they had. I just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And so PPI was the next best thing, and I had a few of their amps. And but a lot of the guys around me, like they all like loud music, but none of them nerded out like I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I'm like, look at this amp, I got this, and they're like, well, does it sound like? It's like, it's not even about that. It's like, look what I got. But look what I got. But they, yeah, man, that was probably it, man. Just I love going in. I always love getting deals. So anything that I paid less for that I know is something good or something that's sought after, man, I'm happy. Like, I'm ecstatic about it.
All right, so let's fast forward. So what was the piece of equipment that you got recently? You got a deal on it or whatnot that you were like, hell yeah, I always wanted one of these. Now I got it.
Let's see. I don't know if I always wanted one because I didn't have one, but I got like the and this is crazy, for a Toto. I've done some videos for them, and I bought like their most expensive stereo that they have, like the 10-inch with you put a SIM card in it and all that stuff, and that's been probably the coolest thing I've gotten for my car, because it's just ridiculous. I can text from the thing. I can text from my car stereo, right? I can call my wife. I can watch YouTube videos from it. And like I never thought that, like, I just can't believe that's even possible. Like, I don't even have to hook my phone up.
Yeah.
I made a mistake of connecting my phone, and every time I get in there, I have to like stop it. Like, don't connect. I don't need you. I don't need you. Get out of here. But it is. It's really cool, man, to be able to do that. To be able to just get on your radio and like look stuff up and stuff like that. For most people, it'd probably be too much, but it's really cool. I can't believe
for
it's
sure.
impossible. Yeah. What about you?
I used to have 2 10-disc CD changers because I just hated carrying around CD packages, and because I worked for a retailer, I got stuff a lot cheaper, obviously. But when the first iPod came out, and that was like what, $450, $500.
Yeah.
I remember having to call my wife and go, listen, getting ready to make a purchase that you're probably not going to like, but it's going to be game changer. And
What they
she's
say,
like,
1,000
for you.
1,000 songs in your pocket. That's,
yeah.
yeah.
So that was the beginning of the end as far as Apple goes, because she needed to have one, and then
yeah, but it was a game changer. It really was. I mean, that changed the game as far as music goes. Because I mean, until then, you were walking around with a book full of CDs.
Yeah, and that sucked when that got stolen or lost or broken or baked in a car or left on the top of your car when you took off.
God, man, they used to break in my car and steal it all the time. Yeah, it's $1,000 too. Because if it's all like bought CDs, we're talking about before CD burners.
Yeah,
before
for
they
sure.
were a thing. Yeah, you stuff you got from Tower Records or whatever, and it's like if you got 30 CDs in there, man. I mean, they really got you. Like, I'd rather them take my head unit than take my book of CDs.
It's way cheaper.
I got all my CDs from Columbia House, so I wasn't tripping.
You're at 10 cents.
I spent 10 cents on them.
Yeah.
That's what I call hip hop CD.
Yeah, exactly.
Those were some cheap ass CDs, that's for sure.
I know, right?
What was yours, Rob?
My first amp or first piece of equipment.
Yeah,
it got me into it.
Yeah.
Well, see, on the cheap equipment thing, the weird part for me was that I kind of had a Sherpa. So my brother-in-law was in a car audio, and he's like, "Yeah, man, listen, this stuff's good. All these brands, this stuff sucks."
Right.
So I had someone to kind of tell me. So he's like, "Save up. If you want more power, get the Rockford Fosgate. If you want something that sounds good, that's going to cost you a little bit more, maybe Orion or the Sony ES." So I started off with the Punch 225 2. That was my first real amp. Before then, I had, I kind of got a long history of not really caring for PPI. I had some PPI amps that I really didn't like that much. They didn't put out much power. They did sound good, but they didn't put out much power, and I thought they were overpriced for what they were. So once I got the Rockford, I was like, oh, this is where it's at. And then from there, I went to Sony ES. From there, I went to Orion. And then once I got to Orion, I was like, I'm not messing with any of the rest of these guys.
Yeah.
And that's where I stuck with. So the 225, from the 225.2 Rockford Fosgate to the 225 Orion, which started me competing. And that's where I started, like, okay, 0 to 50 watt class. That's when I got really hooked, was the Orion 225.
Yeah, that was a very popular amplifier. We sold a whole bunch of those.
Yeah, they were like, what, 600 or 500? I think I paid 500 for mine.
Dude, I don't know. I just convinced people to buy them. You need 2 of these.
Yeah.
It probably didn't take much, but so I didn't do a lot of competing or anything. I mean, it was just me and my bros, man, doing stuff. But those Orion amps put out way more than they ever were supposed to, or wherever class at, right?
The funny thing is, they really didn't.
They didn't.
Yeah, they did about rated on the 225s. On the 2100, it was actually close to rated, maybe a little less. But I don't know. There is something to be said. Like, I've heard amps that do way more than rated, and amps that don't. They do at rated, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't consider it magic, but there is something to be said about an amp that plays a subwoofer well. Like the PPI ProMOS 50 would be one of them. The Planet Audio Z-Built 225H UHCA or something like that was one of them. It did less than rated, but it actually, it sounded loud.
No, I agree with you, man. I agree with you on that. Some amps just control the subwoofers better, especially like with those AB class amps like that. The crunch, and I know a lot of people are like, when I say the crunch, they're like, they suck. But, I mean, the Crunch amp, the Z Audio made one. I mean, that was way underrated. I mean, those things would play like was it like 500 or 600 watts at a quarter ohm?
Those amps, I know that's one of the amps that my brother-in-law was like, listen, these are cheap amps, but these are good cheap amps.
Right.
Like the Kinfords or
Kinford.
Rockwoods, whatever. He's
Yeah.
like, this is a cheap amp that's not a good amp, you know. And then there's also Derek's favorite that I always give him crap about. It's like one of his first amps was a Delta Sonic, so he also liked Alpha Sonic, and I always hated Alpha Sonic, but
yeah, I never liked them.
they were, I mean, they were decent amps for cheap amps, but yeah, I still have to give Derek crap for his. He has a flea market obsession.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I did too. Like we went to the flea market a lot, and I used to see the thumps and the thump ones and the bass whatever and the Sparkomatics and you know just all that crud, man. And it would always, you know, they would always put like 1,000,000 watts on there or whatever. And of course, you know, we didn't have no amp dynos or anybody to say anything. And you know, it was a kid who couldn't quite drive yet and was just a little bit younger than all my brothers who were into that stuff. You're like, oh, this has 1,800,000 watts on it, you know, and they'd always tell me what a fool I was.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I one time we were sitting there and you know we sold Orion, that was our big brand, and then we moved to Rockford and Kicker, and so we always sold house brands, good, you know,
Sure.
Right.
And so you know around the time that these cheaper amplifiers were really starting to become prevalent, where it was like, you know, oh man, like we can buy amplifiers in China or wherever. And so, you know, they weren't the same. They didn't sound the same. They didn't act the same. And so we'd have, you know, people, this kid comes in, he's like, oh, I can get this amp that's 1,000 watts or no, 500 watts. I can get this 500 watt amp from this for, you know, 2/3 the price. And we're like, it's not the same thing. And it says it's the same thing. It's like, it's not this. And it was one of those things where it was just this headstrong, stupid kid that was like, you're not getting it, dude. You're not getting it. And it was like, well, it'll do the same thing. It says so right on that piece of paper. And we're like, fine, buy it. We don't care. I don't, you know, get out of our store for God's sakes, dude. I don't give a shit. But, you know, it was weird because that was kind of the moment that if I look back, I go, this is where it all shifted, because, you know, when Alpine came out with the V12 stuff, and
loved it.
That was the first time a Japanese amplifier, at least for us, because we didn't sell Sony ES or any of that stuff, but it was a mainstream Japanese amplifier that was coming in and kicking ass and taking names. It was an affordable price that people could buy. It looked good. You know, they had the Expert series version of it, which just meant it had a parametric EQ. Ooh. You know, it was funny. They weren't going to sell that to stores that weren't MECP certified because they wanted to make sure.
What is that certification?
MECP?
Yeah.
So that's a certification that anyone can get. You go to it's a website, and they have 3 levels, and it's basically a 12-volt certification. So if you want, it's not bad. Like if you wanted to up your game, so to speak, on 12-volt knowledge, you can get MECP certified. It's like $100, and then it's a test, and it's a whole thing you have to read and take a test. And there's, you know, 3 levels, and the more you go, the harder it gets. It's actually really cool. I don't have the patience for it. I fall asleep when I'm reading that stuff. I've actually, because I did a video for them, and so I bought it and I read the whole book and did everything, and they're like, "Will you please just take the test?" I'm like,
"That's hilarious."
I will. I promise. Like, you know, you're lying to me. I go, "Yes, I am," but I'm going to tell you your face. I'm not lying to you. But anyway,
give me the certification.
Yeah. So, but no, when those Alpine amps came out, it was kind of just like the American amps they didn't stand a chance.
Dude, I bought 2 of those.
You know,
I didn't have any money back then. I bought 2 Alpine V12 amps when they came out because I could afford it for finally, you know.
Yeah. They were badass. I still have a 501 and a 302, in the closet, or 501 or 502. I don't know. I still have 2 of them sitting over here, with the bottoms off and the acrylic.
You guys amaze me, the stuff you still have. Like the Derek and the guy, the owner, the guy who just took over US Amps, like he showed me some of the stuff he has. I'm like, how do you still have this stuff? Like,
stupid. Derek has the biggest collection. I mean,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, so the biggest collection, I think, of Phoenix Gold is Jeff Smith, because he has, I think, everything, and he's got quadruple 10,000. He's got all of them.
Yeah.
I think my buddy Ada probably has the most complete set of Precision Power art.
I gotta see that.
Yeah, because he's bought everything, and I mean every stupid little thing.
I'm just nostalgic for their stuff now, and he's right. It didn't sound that great, like we thought it did, but a lot of things we thought weren't, and because we just didn't know. But it was good for people who just didn't have the money for the other stuff. So.
I think, but that was the thing though with like the V12 stuff, is the V12 stuff sounded good. It was a good price point. And that was for us, it was just like, damn, like when that stuff came in like a rash. It just took over, and it was hard to sell. It was hard to sell anything else because you knew how good it was, and really,
yeah, you probably was like huge profit on it too.
No, it's okay. No? Big misconception about car audio. There's very few products that have a great profit margin.
Well, I just sort of thought that one was because it was, cheaply produced, probably.
No,
they didn't pass it on.
For them, we still, yeah.
Alpine made the money.
Yeah, they made money. We didn't.
Well, and all the Japanese companies, they were using high-end stuff. They were using Elna caps in there, like Sony did it, even on the cheaper amps, Kenwood. So they came in hot. Price, quality, everything. And, then even a lot of the Explode stuff was still pretty decent quality. It just looked.
Man, I like Sony Explode stuff. I mean, again, we were, I'm a kid. So, but as far as kids, it's like kind of like Scar now. Like I dog on Scar because I don't like it. But, I mean, really for kids, though, man, that's some great stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't like it either. I'm not going to rent. I don't have anything in my car that belongs to Scar that they made. I think I have a sticker on my window. That's it. And it even came off the damn window. Like, it didn't even stay on the window. That's how shitty it is. But for people who are young, though, man, and don't have a lot of money, though, if you look at it from that perspective, you got to you can kind of understand. Like, I mean, here it is. It's cheap. It does what it says, and it works the way they want it to. So.
Yeah, but okay. So in retrospect of that, does it really? The reason why it's even put in front of their face is because he admittedly spends $30,000 a day in Google Ads. Okay, so I'm a story guy apparently. So I'm standing in a BJ's warehouse. I got And my buddy from high school comes up to me. I haven't seen him in like 10 years.
A BJ's warehouse. You talking about Big Jeff?
No. It's so it's kind of like a Costco. Yeah,
sorry,
it could be his place. So it's kind of like a Costco. And I'm standing there. I'm looking at like Android tablets because I had this idea in my head that I might do something with an Android tablet for something, but that's a whole nother story. So Haley and I are standing there, we're looking at him, and my buddy comes up to me and it's like, "Hey man," I was like, "Holy shit, how you doing?" And his son is standing there. I haven't seen his son since he was, that. And he's like, "Hey, this is Dean, and he's the guy that works in 12 volt. He's the car stereo. I've showed you his videos." He's like, "Oh yeah, you're the 5-star guy." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, he's getting ready to get his license. He's gonna buy a car. You need to go see him when you're going to get a stereo. And so I said, "So what do you want?" And if you say Scar Audio, I'm going to punch you in the face. And he goes, I said, "I won't punch you in the face. What do you want?" So he tells me, and it's like, dude, seriously? Like, and I knew right away. It's because they target market those guys so well. And I'm not
going to argue with you. They absolutely do. I mean,
yeah, and I'm not saying not to buy the stuff because you can buy whatever you want. If you type "send down Google," you can.
I think there's better stuff to buy for sure.
Oh, there's a lot better stuff. And trust me, you know, like you test amplifiers. We test amplifiers for manufacturers because they want us to test them before you guys test them.
Right.
So that's the humor in all of it. We don't publish a lot of our amp dynos because they have us dyno them so that if you guys get them and dyno them, they pass.
I know.
That's
I
the
actually do that. There are some dynos I do that nobody sees.
No, but we do them for the manufacturers.
I know. I'm telling you, I'm doing it too. I just don't.
Yeah.
You just don't see it.
Yeah, of course. So it's cool. But dude, we had the dynos and like those things are just a nightmare. We'll just say that.
I've never had a scar on my test bench, so I don't know. You know, I just know what people tell me, that they cost what they want, you know. And at the end of the day, man, it all comes down to this. And I think a lot of times we forget this. Like, it doesn't make you happy. Like, if you buy it and it does what you want it to, then that's all that matters. And it really does. And I can respect that. Even if it doesn't do what it says to me, if it makes you happy and you're good with it, then I'm good with that too. And they target, like you said, they target kids, man. And because you can tell, because a lot of kids run that stuff and they like it.
Yeah. Well, this is what I always say when it comes to whatever brand you want to buy. At the end of the day, it's car audio. I'm a car audio fan guy. I really don't care whose name's on the product. I just want you to get into car audio, because once you're into car audio, I can change your mind on a brand. I just need you into car audio.
You just got to get there first.
So that, you know, once I can set that hook, man, I can really into the good stuff. I just need you interested in car audio. I don't care. Because, I mean, I started with crap. I started with a JSE, Jet Sound Electronics. Stuff doesn't even exist anymore, you know? And I've managed to work my way through all the brands. So
yeah, I have too.
Yeah. So if you can buy that and get into car audio, that's awesome. Do it.
Where does the good stuff end, though? I mean, there's so much stuff that costs so much money. Like, where
does it end?
You know, I guess, yeah. Like, I just kind
of like, where does it fall off between where do you performance to dollar spent? Because there's a point at which it goes way higher and you're not getting as much performance.
Exactly. Like, how much are you willing to spend for more good? You know, like, how good can it good be?
So what's the difference between a Ferrari and a Lamborghini?
I don't know. Exactly. I like Lamborghinis better, but I think it's just my preference.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly. No, I'm with you.
But it would be the difference between a GTR and a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. You're getting something better, but at 3 to 4 times the cost. This car is as fast or faster if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
and it's a quality vehicle. So what point does that extra? You're losing if you're just trying to go fast and have a quality vehicle, and you don't care as much about the aesthetics or the certain leather that they use or the story. You're not gaining that same amount of value that you would by going from a GTR to a Ferrari, say a new to new. It falls off at some point.
Well, yeah. So, when does when do you just it's not about the social stigma or whatever. It's just like, when is good? You know, when is good enough? Or, you know, like, how much good can I buy for more money when I'm already good?
So obviously, I've had the pleasure of playing with.
And you probably know more than anybody because you're doing this every day.
Yeah. So I've had the pleasure of owning and playing with some really expensive stuff, and I have not reached the limits of what better equipment can do. Meaning, you spent how much? Wow, that's good. And then it's like, you spent how much more? Oh my God, that's so. Like, I've heard and installed some like, holy fuck, that's insanity. Like this shirt, the Brack shirt that I'm wearing. You know, when we put this system in, it was the most expensive system I've ever built for a customer in his car. I think he ended up spending like $60,000 when it was all said and done. Okay, yeah. Don't choke. Okay, way out of my budget. And trust me, the Brax DSP is $6,000, $65,000, something like that.
That's insane, man. Is it worth it?
I tried to talk him out of it. I'm like, dude, we don't need this. And he's like, I need this. And I said, then you should have it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it's your money and you want it and that's what makes you happy, then you should get it. But is it that much better?
Well, let me tell you what. If you would hear this car all right. I have the Brax tweeter in my hand. The Brax tweeter is, I think a set of the Brax tweeters is $3,000. So I have $1,500 in my hand. Okay. So here's where it gets funny. So I walk out into the parking lot and I got this big ass tweeter in my hand, and one of the dudes that buys from us is working on his latest ghetto sled that he just made, and it's just packed full of loudspeakers, and it's just out there like roar, and we're just like, dude, I gotta go hear this, man. And so we walk out there, and Fernando and I are just checking it out. He's telling me about these custom built subwoofers that he's got, and it's like it's badass, for that market. And I said, you want to hear the sad part? I held up this tweeter and I said, see this tweeter right here? See your door? This one tweeter costs more than both of your doors. And the guy goes, that's got to be the loudest tweeter on the planet. And I said, no.
But it's not.
It's not. So there again, in that world, this was the dumbest thing he's ever seen in his life, because it's not going to rip his ears apart. So
right, for more money for him, it should be louder. It should be the loudest thing there ever was.
That's what he equates. Money equals louder. In this guy's world, money equals sounds better. And we'd already done a really expensive system for him in his Raptor. We did an Audison full bit system in there, which is like fiber optic the whole way through, digital connections, ridiculous. And like that was impressive as shit. That one was like $30,000. And I was like, damn, this thing sounds like unbelievable. Like there's angels in the car. And then when we heard the other one, we were like, so that's your weekend shit car that you're pulling your boat on, right? Because that thing sounds like crap now. And we got this one. And, so I talked to this guy's wife, and he's like, I couldn't find him the other day. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, so he was sitting in the garage and all the lights were off because the garage had gone to sleep. And he was just sitting in his car like this. He was sitting in his car for like 2 hours.
I understand it.
His home audio system is ridiculous. Like, it's not even like the car audio is just like not even, it's like his receiver costs less than his car stereo.
There's something about being in your car though.
Yes.
Like I feel it. I understand.
Yeah. Well, it's like a body headphone.
Dude, it's the same way here. I haven't spent any kind of money like that, but the average home system beats the average car system every time. As far as money wise goes, like you're going to get more money wise for your home system than you will for your car system, I think, anyway. But I'd rather sit in my car.
Sound better.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with the home system is everybody has to hear it.
I agree with that.
You got a soundproof room.
I'm the king of my castle, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I hope she can't hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll turn that up when I want.
Yeah.
But they'll just have to listen. But
he definitely knows his wife is not listening right now. That's what it is.
I know exactly where she's at.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome.
I know exactly where she's at. She can't hear me. But I'd rather sit in my car, man. It's just something about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just would.
Hey, that's why we do this.
Yeah. Like I'll go outside and she's like, "Why are you driving around the block?" And I'm like, "Cause."
Because my stereo.
Yeah, like nothing.
I heard
Don't worry about it.
With the system at Knowledge Fest, and was not impressed for 35. Okay, so I heard that same system too. Obviously, I shot the video on it. They had Steve Brown come and talk. It was like one of the best days ever doing that video. And the problem is that as soon as you put a price tag on something, automatically people want to judge it. And the reality of it is no. That system sounded amazing, and the resolution and just everything about it was just like wow, because of what it was and what it's capable of doing, and it was impressive. But yeah, there's always gonna be and I'm not picking on Chris because I consider him a friend. He's a buddy of mine. We've hung out. But there's always going to be that stigma. I had everyone coming up to me because apparently I'm the preacher of car audio. You have to come confess your sins to me. Everyone was coming up to me after I go, dude, I can build a system that will kill that. And my answer to them was, no, you can't.
Well, to them, you can. That's the whole thing. And that's kind of why it doesn't matter because it's subjective. It just depends on.
But the reality is no, you can't, because that system can do, there's no other equipment on the face of the earth that can do that.
So where I agree with you, but at the same time, I mean, is it the end user who listens to it the one who makes the judgment? Like,
oh no, you can say it.
I had some guy send to me, like, he kept sending me all this technical data about this DSP, and I'm not going to name him or the DSP, but he just kept saying this is why it's so great and this and that. And I was like, man, that's a shame you need all that shit to tell you what sounds good. Like, you just don't need that to tell you. You know, and I'm all about like data, but I mean, at the end of the day, if my ears are what tells me what I like.
Oh no, I agree.
Yeah, but, and that's all. That's all I'm saying. I'm not shitting on that. But I mean,
but it's
30,000. Like, it should sound good.
Well, it's just like the tweeter, $1,500 tweeter, whole door. That guy's not going to be impressed by this tweeter.
Yeah, because he's looking for something that's loud, and that
correct.
Like, I don't want loud. I want loud, and I want it to sound good. You know, it's got to sound good, because the older I get, the more I care about that. But you know, there was a time where if it didn't, you know, like if it didn't make my ears bleed, I didn't care. Like, it wasn't worth anything to me. You know, and I think
feel that way in some cases.
There's some times where I still feel that way too. But I mean, there's somewhere, some way, somehow, some sound quality has snuck in to what I care about.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's people. So the sound quality people. That's not real sound quality. Most people are talking about their own sound quality, because they're like, oh, well, competition. Well, let's be honest. Like, most competition vehicles sound flat. You know, some of them are pretty dynamic, but not all of them. So
they're just loud. They're just loud. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about sound quality competition.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So some of them are pretty loud, but some of them are flat, and it's kind of hit and miss. And it's different sometimes between Ayaska, Mecca, Usaki. You know, so the sound can change from division to division.
Sure.
Well, okay, so let's change tracks a little bit. I want to get some information about Bass Dad.
Sure.
So what do you have in your car right now?
Right now, well, you know, it's kind of, I was going to say this earlier. And you know, man, it's hard when you're on YouTube, because you don't want to name, you know, some brands you just don't want to throw under the bus or whatever.
You have no idea.
No, that's not it. That's funny though. It's not that. It's just that I had something that I thought was really nice, and it really sounded good, and then I changed it to something that was really cheap but really loud, and I can't tell much of a difference.
That's okay though.
And I kind of work for some of the people that you know, I just don't want to. Yeah, you know, but yeah, I mean, like, right now I've got something pretty cheap. I've got two DS18 8Ks on two XV3s, two 15s. So I mean, I'm beating down the block, man.
No shit.
Yeah, I am. You know, people are mad at me when I roll by.
Like,
you know, I got every Karen in the block pissed at me.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, if I really want to get it, you know, like, I can really piss people off. But man,
he's in the shirt, didn't you?
But I've got a Helix MK2 mini DSP on there. Nice. Yeah, I know. And everybody's like, "Oh, you got that on that cheap shit?" It's like, yeah, I do. But I was kind of trying to prove a point that watts don't, you know, like, I just can't tell a difference between that expensive amp I had and those amps, as long as I filter the signal.
Yeah, DSP is important.
Through my own DSP.
Yeah.
So as long as I have the same DSP, then I can't tell the difference between what makes the watts.
So I will tell you this to that effect. I got to go to Austria last year. Ground Zero sent me to Austria to film Emma World Finals, and Emma World Finals has a whole SPL crazy loudspeaker thing, and all those guys are running Helix DSPs. Okay.
I've heard good stuff about them, man.
And they actually have two Helix.
Hey, and wait, real quick. Thank you, because you taught me how to use it.
Oh, I did?
You and Fernando did a thing, and I could not figure out the freaking UI on it until you guys watch you guys. So thanks for that.
Well, hey, cool.
Yeah, thanks. That was a good video, man. It helped.
But no, they actually run two of those, because they run stereos out of the back of the car and then the stereo in the car. So they have a DSP for the front and a DSP for the back.
Really?
But, yeah.
That's
watch the
interesting.
video if you want to see it. Go watch the video. It's
Yeah,
I can't even describe some of the crazy shit that they do there.
Bless you.
But
you.
Helix is really big in Emma, and they have like 80% market share. I mean, it's ridiculous. But no, the Helix DSP over there was just everywhere, and all the bass heads are running DSP.
Yeah.
It was and not.
I mean, if you do it, like I know a lot of guys here don't, and I don't know why. Like if you do it, you won't not do it. Like if you because ever since I've started running a DSP, because when I was younger, I would have never ran anything like that. It was just too much money for something that I didn't think was necessary. But once you do it, it's like, man, what was I thinking?
DSP the
like,
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only is it a nice, clean way to tie everything together, it just sounds so freaking better. And if my amps go, if I need to change amps or whatever, like it doesn't change the sound that much. It's like I'm still the same. If I got to get power from different places.
We got the tremendous amounts of power, some big ass woofers. We got a Helix DSP. What are we running for the other end?
What do you mean? Oh, for the highs and mids?
Yeah, so, those stupid things that no one ever uses.
Yeah, I'm gonna change those. Like let me say this: I had to finance the whole Bass Dad thing out of my pocket, and towards the end of it, like towards the now of it, I shouldn't say end of it because I don't ever plan to stop, but towards the end of me paying for stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of had to do whatever I could afford. So we've got DS18 mids in that truck that I'm probably gonna switch for something else. I've got some other stuff coming, but
nice.
But honestly, they don't sound bad either through that DSP.
Yeah. They're a good bunch of guys. The
I'm doing those. I'm doing
really cool.
the Down for Sound, the D25 tweeters, the ones that you can recone. I like those because you can if I've blown them a few times, so I can just recone them. I keep forgetting to I'll go to test my system or something and not have shit adjusted right, and I don't know if you guys make mistakes like that, but I know better.
Try not to. No, I try. Yeah, we try not to.
Yeah, I know, but I do it, and I know better. It's not like I don't know better. I just do it. Like I'm just so excited about what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, there goes my tweeters, and so I keep extra recones around. So I like those because I can just swap them out real quick.
Well, that almost goes back to the whole reason I wanted to discuss why everyone loves cheap equipment is because, Dean dipped.
Oh, he's gone.
He'll be back, and I'll put him.
Well, that's fine. Why does everybody love cheap equipment?
So, I said earlier that I really had decent equipment from the beginning, so I never. He's back.
Sorry about that.
So I never lived through through a bunch of cheap equipment. I did get cheap equipment when I was younger, but through this YouTube channel, I found some pretty decent gems, like some low end Sundown SA, the entry level digital design subs. I think sound pretty good. I'm running a Sound Cubed U3000 amp in the Trooper, and I can tell a sound difference, like cone control wise, but when you turn it up, I mean, when you're over 130 dB, it's kind of tough to tell the difference.
Are you just running it straight off the amp though, or you have something to filter the sound?
Just straight off the amp.
Straight off the amp. Yeah.
I have DSP.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have a DSP, but it's not on that amp. That amp is just amp's the gravy. So the DSP is for everything else.
And that, man, not to cut you off on that, but with I hear a lot of people say full bridge and half bridge, there's a big sound difference, and there is if you run it off the amp. But I noticed when I run it through my DSP, there really isn't that much of a difference. I don't hear it.
Yeah,
at least I don't hear it.
Well, and I don't hear it in the sound of it. I hear it mostly in the cone control. But I will say this: what half bridge amp are you talking about, or full bridge amp are you talking about? Are you talking about a kicker or a Mats full bridge, or are you talking about now the ones that are really got the bad reputation are
so what you hear now, and I've got a bad habit of doing that. I know that there's a lot of companies that make full bridge amps, and they're not what people call full bridge amps. But when I say full bridge amps, I'm talking tar amps or
Brazilian,
Brazilian full bridge,
which
amps.
Which is what the Sound Cubed is,
right? And that's what DS18s are.
Yeah, it's a Chinese copy of a Brazilian amp. So
right.
We're even one step removed from the OG Brazilian.
It's not even the original bullshit amp. It's a copy of the bullshit amp.
Right.
Right.
But that being said, it's not that bad.
But I gotta say this, man. I paid $279 a piece for those two AKs, like a piece. You know, I've got $550 and some change, and 16,000 watts of power that actually makes 16,000 watts of power, and you know, to get that out of a decent half bridge, man. I mean, what am I going to spend?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you guys this. I've heard rumor that DS18's affiliated with the mob in some way.
I wouldn't doubt that.
Or the mafia. I'm serious.
They're Cubans. They're like Cuban guys out of Miami.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I heard that they're.
Listen,
none of what you said shocked me just now.
Yeah.
So I've met a lot of the DS18 guys because we kind of travel in the same show circles.
Yeah.
They're all really nice guys. I don't think I've ever seen anything.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I've heard it.
Dead horse heads or anything.
I'm not confirming this. I'm just asking you the question. Have you ever heard that?
You know, listen. There's like 3 guys that are like the faces of the company, and they're always there. They've always been solid with us. You know, there again, I don't hang out with them on the weekends or anything, but
I bet you don't.
No, I don't see anything spooky going on with the DS.
Well, I tell you this, not me, man. I got it from somebody else, but I will say that.
Listen, here's the thing: anytime a company is successful, there's always going to be somebody over there going, "Oh man, they're doing something. They're doing something bad." I mean, they say the same thing about like Sound Digital and
you're right.
That stuff.
Yeah. They're always going to make up crap about them.
Yeah, it's.
But listen, when Wolfram switched, right, their place got broken into by a co-owner, or I don't know the exact situation, but they took the equipment. Like there was like a strong hand in that, and you know, Colin is doing something else now. Surge.
The Surge Audio, yeah. He's doing
right. So,
audio.
like, that was not like just we didn't know what was going to happen for a minute when that all went down. So I don't know if that was just, you know, some dudes that were like, hey, we're just going to come and get our equipment, but there was a weird partnership going on there. I don't know the whole story, so
I got nothing on any of it.
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know anything, but money creates weird, you know, bedfellows. So.
And then we'll go with that. I agree with that one. All right, last question for you. Last question for you, Jeff.
Sure.
What head unit?
A Toto S8.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that the expensive one. And I'm running, and it's funny. I've got cheap shit run in a weird way. Like I'm running an optical to the MK2, and
that's a good idea though.
Yeah, it's great because I was getting a lot of noise out of that stupid truck, and it was dry. It was like, you know, trying to find a fly in your house. You know, it was like I'm just going nuts trying to figure it out, and that killed it all. So that was great. It sounds good. It sounds good, man, for what it is, and how much I got in it. I've got the expensive amp that I have sitting here in the box, and I'm like, is it worth me going out there and doing anything? And I'm like, nah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good right now. And, you know, I don't have to run cheap stuff. I've literally, man, you know, I don't know when you guys figured out that people wanted to watch you or whatever, but I've just had that realization in the last 2 weeks. Like all of a sudden I've had a lot of people contacting me and a lot of companies and stuff like that. And I've had packages show up here every day for like the last week of stuff that people want me to test, and it's mine. And I'm still blown away by it, and I could use any of it. And I'm just like, I think I'm good. I think I don't want to use any of it. You know, I'll test it for them or whatever so I can keep it, but my truck's fine. Like I like the way it sounds. Yeah. Even with the cheap crap in it. So I don't have to have cheap crap. I could have expensive crap if I want to. Like I can choose anything I want right now. Yeah. And that's something I've never been able to do, but I'm happy with it. It sounds good.
So what's the plans for the channel? What are we going to do? What are we going to see from Bass Dad?
Man, for me, I mean, you saw the Derek interview. I've got one more, and I kind of like that aura, kind of like we did tonight, like just hanging out. I really like that a lot, and you know, I'd like to get some more people on there and just hang out, because I think sometimes people think that everybody wants to hear about their new products or stuff like that. And I told Derek, I said, you know, there's a lot of people that just like to hear about your life, man. And he's like, nah, nobody wants to hear about my life. I'm like, yes, they do. Like we do. You know, like, yeah, come on, talk about your life. you know, he's a private person, and I definitely understand that. You know, being out in the public, there's some people, you know, you don't want to know everything about you, but you know, you can tell us something about you that we didn't know, and it seems like people are really liking that. I got an interview with Stephen Mance that I've already recorded. I just haven't put it out yet. I don't know that he's talked to anybody ever, you know, and he didn't want to talk to me at first, but now I talked him into it. But I think he's a character, man. Let me tell you, man, he is a funny guy. And he's got a lot of story, and I think that you know, in the right conditions, a lot of people would like to hear it, because I can't even track down dates from back then. Like, I don't know when did you stop making crunch amplifiers? When did they go here? Like, when did this happen? And like, there's just nothing if you get on the internet that tells you any of that stuff. So you know, a lot of that will get explained when that comes out.
Very nice.
You know, yeah, I'm kind of like in the interview deal. It's something that not a lot of people have done, and I seem to be good at.
Cool.
Yeah, I like testing products for sure. That helps keep the channel going, because you know, these companies like to pay in products, but
Right.
right. But
Yeah.
and you know, I told you I'd do some behind the scenes testing for a couple of places too. But as far as the channel goes, man, I really don't know. Like, I'm just kind of winging it, but I feel like I'm kind of finding my place. US Amps is definitely, they have made me, you know, they've made it clear that whatever they do is going to be through me. Now, is that good? Well, I guess it depends on what they put out. So, you know,
Right.
I hope
Yeah.
I don't tank with them if they tank it, but I don't think they are, man. I've talked to these guys, and they seem really sincere and trying to bring this product back in the right way. So
Yeah.
I hope they do, and I hope I get to be a part of it. And if I didn't make a dollar from that, I'd be happy just to be a part of that. So
Badass.
definitely going to see a lot of stuff with me in US Amps. And I don't want anybody to think that they're not paying me. They haven't given me a dollar. I'm doing it because I care about them. They did offer to make me a Captain America amp, which I'm going to take. And if y'all don't like it, I don't care. Because anybody who
Why
makes
would
me a
you not?
Captain America amp, it's mine. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Why would you not? Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I mean, it's Captain America. Like, you wouldn't take it? Jeez.
Yeah. It's silly. I mean, of course it would. I mean,
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
yeah.
So that's what I got, man. I just want to talk to people that maybe we haven't had a chance to hear from. I'd love to have Dean. I'd love to have you on. I'd love to have Vega on. I'd love to have JP and oh man, I'm having a old
It's
man
okay.
moment again. The guy from Sundown. I'd love to have him on, because those are, you know, yes, Jacob Fuller. I'd love to have those guys on if they're interested. Like I said, I've been after Steve Mead. I don't think he's going to ever do it, but maybe he will one day. You know, and my intention is never to get anybody on there and embarrass them. I just want to hear, like, how did you get here? Like, how did
Right.
you get where you're from to here?
Right.
And so far with doing that, I think people have been really interested.
No, and that's, like I said, I really liked your Derek interview. I enjoyed it. That's why I wanted to get you on here tonight. I'd love to get you on
Thank
here
you.
sometime again.
Man, I'm down for it. You know,
This was fun.
I believe this is my full-time job, you know, and I don't make a dollar from this. I've literally gotten, like, until this week, I've gotten like 2 things from a couple of companies and $0. So I'm about this life. If you guys want to have me on, I'm happy to be on. I believe in getting it while the getting's good. So if people are talking about me, I want to show my face.
Awesome, man.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
we
man.
have a surprise guest next week as well. I've already lined us another one up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Who is it? Then it wouldn't be a surprise, would it?
I was gonna say it wouldn't be a
I know.
surprise.
You told me, he's like, oh, you're going to be a surprise guest. And I was like, you should have told me that before I posted on my Facebook.
That's
Well,
okay.
yeah. Listen, we don't even stream. I don't even stream to Facebook anymore.
Okay. I don't either.
Yeah.
There's no money in it.
Oh,
I get any money from YouTube.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even when you do get money, it's not much.
I know. I've heard. Trust me. My whole hopes and dreams were shattered when I found out what you get. So.
All right, Dean. Any
That's all right,
parting
man.
words?
I'm here for love. So
I got nothing.
me on.
I'll just see you next week. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I had a great time. I hope you had a great time too. And yeah, if you want to just reach out, man, we'll do it.
I
Yeah.
just know it's a good time when I don't know how long I've been talking. So.
Oh man.